Welcome back, players. I'm Jack with 3-6 Cancel. Coco is safe at home, probably sleeping on my bed. I'm in New Jersey, away from home for regionals, and we're just wrapping up here. Free fight is closed, and it's about time for the closing ceremony. As you can see, most players are leaving the venue. And I'm about done too. I can't really pick up any more games at this point, though today I played a ton of casual matches after the tournament. But now that the day is ending, I'm doing something you've probably seen a lot of people do after a big event. I'm taking my deck out of its sleeves. You can see a lot of players doing this after some larger tournaments because they're just fed up with how their deck performed that day. They decide, this is the last time, I give up on this deck. And they put its components back in their binder. Or worse, and I know that some of us have been here, bring it to the sacrificial altar of the vendor booth. It may look like that's what I'm about to do, but this deck's journey doesn't end here. You see, players, I'm actually re-sleeving this deck. I got new oversleeves for it, but today, after everything, I found a new set of sleeves I liked a lot more. It's worst girl, but hey, what can you do? They look pretty nice anyway. I may not have won with it today, but I'm giving it more attention because it really helped me learn. This wasn't my first regional, but I think I learned the most about making better plays today. And I also learned that this particular deck, one I'd been practicing with for a while, is a lot cooler than I thought it was at first. There's a ton more nuance and more complex decision trees to consider, and in the coming months, I look forward to mastering those so that when I do meet my next regional opponent to get into top 8, I can play with everything I have. But for now, I'm tired, I'm hungry, and I'm about ready to go home. So I'm taking notes tonight that will end up here in this video. 3-6 Cancel's first official tournament report. This year, I attended Bushiroad's regional tournament at Secaucus, New Jersey, at the Secaucus Expo Center. I drove in with my friend, who was actually a floor judge that day. And yes, he enforced the rules on me like everyone else. Anyway, since he had to be at a meeting early in the morning of the tournament, we drove in the night before and shacked up. Since I didn't feel like walking to the Expo Center or calling an Uber, I figured I may as well come with him and just wait. I don't regret it, but man, I thought the doors would open earlier. I ended up sitting at a wet table and just shooting the shit with some players from home until about an hour before the doors opened. When they did, we all got in line and were segregated by game. But eventually, we did get in and we got our player badge and a bag of goodies. This time it was a Bushi pen, a loose pack of Pocky, and a Gurren Lagann official deck box. Not bad at all. Since there was only about an hour before the actual tournament, I spent most of the time filling out my deck registration because I forgot the one I had prepared at home. But I was able to greet some players I knew from previous tournaments and check out 2 vendors. The vendors had a lot of supplies like nice deck boxes, good utilitarian sleeves, and a selection of box and trial deck product. But no loose packs for Weiss or any singles, minus 1 or 2 binders that were mostly filled with commons and uncommons. I was pretty disappointed on the Weiss side. I'd been looking forward to getting a few loose packs and picking up some singles I was looking for. But they did have the oversleeves I use, so at least there was that. Other than that, I was looking around the expo hall to see what everyone was bringing in. And the expo hall was massive, easily about 3 times as big as any other place I've played. Granted, I've attended a limited number of regionals, but this one was pretty damn big. The tables were actually navigable, which was a nice change of pace from the crowded seating that's plagued most regionals I've been to. Overall, it was a great place to play. There were several hotels near the expo center and a lot of great food choices within walking distance. Even the food station at the venue had a pretty good menu for what it was. $9 sandwiches, but hey, whatever. My only complaint was that the bathrooms were super tiny and had no ventilation whatsoever. Those were absolutely rank. I mean, the men's was. Of course, I wouldn't know what the women's room smelled like. Obviously. I'd been practicing with standby sword art for some months now. I'd played sword art as my quote-unquote serious business deck for a while, so when it got standby, that was awesome. With the meta taking a strong shift to Bang Dream and Love Lime Sunshine with the new releases, I felt like it was in a good place. But more importantly, I felt comfortable with it, and Bang Dream and Love Live don't interest me. Basically, the deck runs on bringing things into play using the standby trigger, which happens both when you play the climax and when you trigger it. You get to put a character with your level +1 or lower on the stage from your waiting room as rested. There are a lot of cool tricks you can do with this, but it's mostly about playing cards that have high power and broken abilities. since ideally you're not paying their cost. It has a lot of standard SAO staple level zeros like Runner Kiritos, top-checking Secaucus Suiciders, and Brocon Lifas. But it also plays Close Call Silica, which is a character draw with a climax combo, and the draw 2 pitch 1 Kirito Brainstormer. The level 1 is radically different though. Instead of Zekens and top-check Kiritos, this deck runs 1-1 Silicas with Clock Encore and Silica Salvage Suiciders. Top-check Kirito is in the deck, but he's not a main staple. Because the 1-1s have super high power and Clock Encore, they're an amazing standby target and can set up a super annoying wall. The Suiciders help you filter out climaxes with their Savage on play ability, and they help throw off some level 1 abilities like Aaron or Kamina. And since the deck is kind of sacky, I play the 1-1 2k backup that free stock since it has a soul trigger. Level 2 is a lot more interesting though. This 2-2 Lisbeth wouldn't work in anything but standby. She can get up to 10.5k power and get on the board at level 1. It's pretty devastating when it happens. Remember, ideally you're not paying costs and bringing out everything earlier, way before your opponent can deal with it. And the level 3 fits that theme. I play 2 early play level 3s, Link Strike Xenon and Adventure with Everyone Lisbeth. They're great early plays, and combined with standby they have cool interactions. But what's actually big mood is standbying attack in Waves Asana. When you hit level 2, you can stand with a 2-2 Lisbeth, and then play out 2 early plays, and stand by an AIW Asana behind them. Playing fair is overrated, and naturally the deck finishes with Attack in Waves Kirito. Combining Attack in Waves with Link Strike Xenon can result in 6 or even 7 attacks for super cheap considering standby. I had tuned it pretty well over practicing, and overall I was happy with my build. I can't really think of too many changes I would have made if I'd known my matchup beforehand, so I went into the tournament feeling ready. This one was kind of a surprise. The OG English Idolmaster was my first challenger. I won the roll and opened with a nut play, which is discarding a 1-1 Silica on the mulligan, playing 2 Close Call Silicas, then playing a Kirito in the front. Then playing the standby climax, returning the 2 Close Calls, drawing 2 characters, and putting the 1-1 on the field. That's about the most brutal thing someone can do on turn 0 in Weiss, so I was feeling pretty confident, and it looked like the wins were totally in my favor when he attacked back with a Brainstormer and nothing else. There are no plot twists here. That was pretty much the tone of the game. By the time he hit level 1, I had a front row that totally shut down me Naminita. He bled hand and field for pretty much the rest of the game while I swung in for Big Soul. He hit level 3 first and did get the Miku combo off, but not only did he whiff on the burn, the Miku didn't get big enough to get over Lisbeth with an Asana behind her, and I memory kicked it to prevent Encore. Anastasia was completely useless too. No restands and no burns. I stood, drew, attacked in waves, and finished him. So I opened 1-0. The dude was super chill too, and after we finished up, we played a casual match at the table before the next round. This time it was a predictable opponent. I expected to see a lot of Love Live Sunshine, and I'd say I wasn't disappointed, but actually I was, because no matter what I'm piloting, I hate that deck. So I won the roll again, but this time I had a very average opening with no standby. He anti-runned my Kirito and kind of locked me out at level 1. And I had a rough transition into the mid-game. He was playing the blue climax combo with top checks and adds up to 2 characters, and he hit a ton of cards. I really couldn't match the hand advantage, but when I hit level 2, I early played a lot and swung back hard. He killed some of my bigger dudes with a standard Sunshine double early play combo, but he didn't take me to the point of no return. I swung back with some unimpressive bodies, focused on compression, and prepped for level 3. I knocked him into it first, and he played the standard red and yellow finishers. He actually shuffled away a guaranteed bird 3 that turn. He may have been searching for another Musashi, but I'm not sure. He also played a red level 3 climax combo that burned and salvaged, which I hadn't seen before. Either way, I cancelled out almost all of his finishing game. He was 3-3 by the time I attacked, so I only needed one of my attacks to hit to really seal the deal. And I had 5 of them, so it came out in my favor. 2-0 and on to round 3. And here it was, the match I never wanted but knew I'd have to face. Because not even Bang Dream wants to play Bang Dream. Unlike the practice matches I'd had with it, this dude was playing the yellow climax combo at level 1 that adds free cards with +2 soul. Big oof. I took a lot of damage really fast, and his hand was pretty much always massive. But I fielded a good mid-game and got my standby engine online before level 2. Midway through, he used a top checker slightly wrong, but I decided not to call a judge since I have PTSD from angle shooters in Magic the Gathering. I think it was an honest mistake anyway. We both had a pretty ideal level 2 approaching our endgame. I stood by an asana in the back before the final turns and hit another trigger for the second back row asana. He hit level 3 first, but he wasn't able to use Yukina's burn ability since the only reverse target was a 14-5 Lisbeth, which I backed up to 16-5. So I survived the onslaught, played my Kiritos, and swung in for the win. It was a scary and swingy game, but I kept a cool head, played smart, and came out on top. Moving right along in the undefeated bracket. You know what they say, kids. Don't ever play yourself. Well, I came close, but it was actually last shot SAO. This was super tough. When you're meeting people in the round 4 undefeated bracket, none of your matches will be easy, and my opponent was no exception. He was a super smart player and a cool dude to boot. He won the dice roll and opened with strong stuff. Since I dirtled at level 0 thanks to a dead opening hand, he was able to build a ton of stock to use as Zek and Yukis and Fond Lifas. I was on the ropes pretty much the whole game. My targets were just not in the right places, I triggered a ton of climaxes on the first and second attacks, and I floundered even to get attackers out. Oh, and no standby, of course. By the time I hit level 3, I couldn't even heal down to 3-0, and he was still at 2-3. There was just no hope. He'd compressed super well, built up a wall of stock in hand, and punished my rough start really hard. But this was by far my most interesting match of the day. This is where I learned a lot of lessons. It's always the hardest matches that teach you the most, so never lose hope if things look grim. You take the best lessons from the roughest times. I learned a lot about the tutor chains, advantage outlets, and lines of play in my deck that didn't involve really obvious decisions like put big dude on field for free. On my final turn, it came down to a really awkward situation where I didn't quite have enough stock or hand size to make my full combo come together. And I dirtled a lot, discarding, salvaging, playing things to see if I could make stuff happen, and doing hard math. It was all about getting in as many attacks as possible. I think I got in as many as I possibly could, but I'm not sure. That was, without a doubt, the hardest turn of Weiss I've ever played, and it was definitely a moment where I realized that I had a lot more to learn before I could play the toughest situations cleanly. But even then, there was little hope. I was pretty much out of climaxes, and he cancelled like a boss. He didn't even need to last shot to kill me. But after the match, he and his crew even talked with me at length about the game. They even gave me some really valuable input on those final turns. We talked about different scenarios and how things could have unfolded if I used different chains of tutors or used my abilities in different orders. Mad respect to those guys. They were an amazing group of people, and their friend, which was my opponent that round, went on to play in the finals and win second place. 3-1. I can still shoot for top 8, so I ordered my thoughts, took some good advice, and moved on. Remember how you're not supposed to play yourself? Well, I did it again. And I do mean I did it again. Exactly so. It was the same deck, last shot, Zekken, blue-green SAO. But while the pilot was pretty good, he wasn't as experienced as the big fish. He made a game state mistake on the opening, but we caught it and fixed it without calling a judge. And this time my opening was a lot stronger. I entered my second turn at level 0 with 2 1-1 Silicas on the field, and it felt awesome. This time I was able to reverse his Zekkens and keep a full hand with padded stock. Even though he searched multiple times, he bled through hand trying to keep up, and he really couldn't deal with my early plays. He did end up sticking some damage at the end and taking me to level 3 first, but that proved to be a mistake. He wasn't compressed at all, and I was super prepared. I attacked the dude 6 times and killed him from 2-4. Xenon never even hit the field. But he was another cool dude that gave me a casual match between the rounds. Really fun to play with, and a great sport. 4-1. The dream still lives. And the dream is dead. It didn't really matter who my opponent was. I opened with 3 climaxes and drew 2 more with no level 0s. Then, when I finally managed to get a stock, I was like, okay, I need to start getting rid of this deck because I'm going to take a lot of damage. So I moved up my Lifa, played one of the 4 climaxes in my hand, and used her ability to top check. And I found 3 heinous traps in a Xenon. Yeah. All this combined with the fact that I was super distracted by some guy arguing at the judges a few seats down, pretty much sealed my fate. I took damage, and I died. No exciting story here. I just got Weissed out of 1 round before the cut. Oh well, it's gonna happen. By the way, I played against Yellow-Blue Persona. Final result, 4-2 drop. So the representation today was centered around 5 sets: Sunshine, Bang Dream, SAO, Titan, and Persona. In the top 8 there were 2 Sunshine, 2 Bang Dream, 2 SAO, and a Titan. Unfortunately, I didn't catch what the 8th one was. But overall, that's a pretty varied field. Unlike a few past tournaments where there were over 50% of one set in the top 8, we got a pretty nicely mixed bag here. And the field overall was super diverse. I saw Project Diva, all colors and variations of Titan that weren't Metacore, Excel World, and even a full foil Log Horizon deck. There's always one. And while I did play the same deck twice, the games are pretty different. In 6 rounds, that's good variation. As for me, I think I did pretty well. Today I made some great plays and my experience definitely got me through some tough spots for the W, but I also turned a corner and saw a lot more room for improvement in places I hadn't been before. Luckily, I'm surrounded by knowledgeable and friendly players to help me on the way. And the good news is that you are too. There are a lot of Weiss resources out there, more than there were a few years ago. There are numerous Weiss Facebook groups, a few Discord, some places where you can pick up Skype games, and of course, 3/6 Cancel is a rather recent addition to that list. And I want to thank all of you for lending your ears, eyes, and time to my content. I'm having a ton of fun with the game. Even when I was super tired after the rounds, I still begged people for casual games until just about no one was left who was willing to throw down. And even now, here I am, still handling these cards. This regional, even though it was a long and mentally taxing day for me, was a great experience. If you get a chance or one pops up near you, I'd recommend anyone who even plays casually to go. The tournament entry is free, there are in-person vendors, plenty of casual matches to pick up, and you even get a goodie bag and a promo. If you happen to find yourself at one, you might see me around, because I plan on attending a lot more in the future. And if we play, I wish you good luck and a good game in advance, just like all my opponents today. But players, it's time to go home. I'm absolutely drained, and Coco's probably waiting for me. So I'll see you soon, players. Look forward to more tournament recaps in the future. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.